Hello, you amazing people. Welcome back to RXMemes. Going forward, I just want to let you know that the question of the day and answers from the previous question of the day are going to be featured at the end of the video so as to shorten the intro, and that means that anyone who just comes for the stories doesn't have to deal with a long intro. So today's video, we are jumping into r/malicious compliance, and let's get right into it. Punish us for doing our job, we will transfer your calls then. Posted by user/commotionable. Hey guys, so for any of you who have worked in call centers, you know how much of a pain in the ass it can be. It's even worse for third-party call centers. For those of you who don't know, 3P, third-party call centers, are basically like dollar stores compared to first-party call centers, which are like Walmarts. When you are 3P, the client who is using you gives you rules and regulations for taking their calls. Some are understandable considering they are the law, but others are ridiculous. So this particular company tends to flaunt how amazing their first-party agents are and treat their 3P team like shit. Mind you, 3P takes at least 95% of their call volume. First-party audits our 3P calls and sends a report every week with everything we as agents have done wrong on the calls, again hyping that their first-party can do no wrong. Cue the malicious compliance. One of my calls was graded by a first-party rep, and they were stated that I didn't follow a procedure correctly, verifying the price of an item, and that I need to refer to my research guide to make sure I handle my future calls correctly. I advised my manager that I followed the reference guide and the links provided didn't work, so I handled the call to the best of my ability to avoid an unnecessary transfer. Since we are 3P, first party has blocked access for almost everything. They believe we will steal from their customers. My manager files for a dispute for my call grade, making sure to include the lack of access. Took the client 3 days to respond. When they did, their email was as follows. Call number 1234 was reviewed and we assessed that the error for commotionable was valid. The agent needs to follow the links in their reference guide. If the agent doesn't have access, then the call should be transferred to a first-party rep. My manager gives me my written warning and I understand. They want us to transfer calls for things we don't have access to in the reference guide. No problem. I spread the word around the call floor and my manager sends a floor-wide email. Every other call I have is a transfer, cause as 3P I don't have access to shit. After about a week of doing this, a new call report is released and I didn't show up on it. No one showed up on it. I guess it's hard to listen and grade calls that are transfers. My manager is pulled into a meeting where the first-party reps were bitching about the high call volumes. They then start asking why we are transferring to them so much. My manager gently forwards the email from the failed dispute to all of the first-party leaders. Funny now, we have access to more stuff and can handle more calls. Still don't have access to that price procedure though. Alright, I'll park on the street. Posted by user/nanachi. Okay, so I have an event to share. It wasn't grand, nobody clapped, and the police were only slightly involved, but I felt so good that I wanted to share it. English is my fourth language, so just go over the mistakes. A little filler before I start. I live in a street that connects to a heavy traffic one, but it's a bit tight, so it fits about 3 cars widthwise, or a truck and a car. But still, one has to be mindful when passing through to make sure they fit. One house down on the other side of the street there is an apartment building, and that was the reason for me to comply. There was a new family moving in last week. As most of the residents in my street have been living here for ages, we usually go out and greet whoever is moving in. These people weren't the type to be nice neighbors though. Not only they made eye contact when I was trying to greet them and say something like, "Welcome to the neighborhood," or whatever, they simply ignored and proceeded to do what they were doing as if nothing had happened. Alright, I'm not one to insist on anything with anyone, so I just thought they can very well live by themselves and nobody will bother them. I found out later that nobody really liked them, and that they had been rude and snobby ever since they came to check out the apartment. On the day of their moving, I happened to have to go out for a meeting. I work from home and those are so rare I don't even get enough time to get back to my house after they are over. When I arrived, their moving truck seemed to have just parked, the engine was still running, and it was blocking my garage. To clear it up a bit better, my garage entrance is slightly aligned with my front neighbor's, so we can both maneuver our cars better, and the truck had taken half his entrance. Like I said, there is a heavy traffic street connected to mine, so it's normal for people to park on my street and walk to the main one. And there was another car across the street that was keeping me from being able to properly get mine to where it should be. I see that the guy was standing there beside the moving truck, so I get out and try to ask him to have the truck moved, like a meter down, so I could park inside. and the following conversation happens. N is neighbor, MD is moving driver, MG1 is moving guy 1, MG2 is moving guy 2. Hello, good afternoon.
Hi.
Could I just ask you to have the truck move down for a minute so I can get my car inside?
Just maneuver around it.
I can't, the other car is barring me as well.
Have the other car move then.
But the truck is still running and I just need half a minute to do...
Look, if you can't drive, maybe you should take an Uber next time?
Then he proceeds to walk towards the truck and ignore me. I don't really want, nor do I need to park on the street, so I decide to try the driver, since he was standing right there, and the truck was still running. They hadn't even opened the cargo part yet. Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah?
Look, I live in a house just across the street and I was wondering if you could pull the truck back for a minute.
You can't just maneuver around it?
I can't. The other car is blocking me and I don't know who it belongs to.
Look, you can just wait until we finish.
But you still have the engine running and it won't even take a minute.
Just wait until we finish and we'll leave. Look, girl, if we move, it'll be harder to take things out of the truck. Just wait until we are done.
Note that it was about 1 single meter down. They were just too lazy and wanted the truck to be aligned with the building's entrance. I note at this point that the driver has moved to the cabin and turned the engine off. He came out with the smuggest grin, it gave me the worst kind of shivers, and the other two snickered a little and walked away to talk to the neighbor. The driver then comes to me and says,
"Just park on this street, you can come back when we are done,"
and goes to join the others, all looking very satisfied with themselves. So being the good kid I am, I decided to obey their command. I'm just a young woman who can't drive after all. So I park right in front of my house. It was vacant as the truck was blocking the street, and if someone parked there, nobody else would be able to go through. Not my problem though. I can't drive, remember? I may have done the best parking job of my life that day, and just locked my car and get inside. I knew traffic would start to pick up soon as it was almost the end of lunch period, and people would be getting back to their activities. My street is one of the many shortcuts, and it's normal that we have traffic patrol come around many times a day. About half an hour after I get inside, I start hearing very loud, very angry, and very amusing car horns, and some people shouting to get the truck out. At this point, they were already taking the furniture out and never noticed where I really parked. This is where I get my satisfaction. When I hear the driver shout,
"What the frick, that girl parked there? Where is she to remove that effing car?"
and more angry drivers shouting at him to just move the damn truck to let them through. Right then, 2 patrolling officers passed by. Nobody called them, it was just time for their rounds, and see too many cars were honking. A lot of angry people were getting out of their vehicles, and a massive truck was very wrongly parked, blocking everyone from passing by. I hear the officers telling the guy to move his truck. He tries to argue that,
"It's the freaking girl's fault, she parked her car there."
and the officers just tell him that he is the one not properly parked, and was to move his truck right away to stop blocking the traffic. At that point, I had already come outside. I decided to come out when I heard someone shout something about the police, to witness a very angry driver turn his truck back on and move the effing thing down the 1 meter I asked before and get it parked properly. The officers then go on their way and traffic moves again. Like I said, nobody clapped and the police were just mildly involved. They really just happened to show up. Sure, I'll come in on my day off work and make sure everyone stays late. Posted by user/Azakura. TLDR at the bottom. I used to work in a factory that would shut down and be completely cleaned every weekend. Only 2 people were needed for this, and they only had to supervise and help the hired cleaning company. At the time, I had a boyfriend living 2 hours from me, and every weekend I would take the train to see him. My supervisor knew this as it came up in casual conversation before. On Friday, I checked the roster hung in the break room. I was not scheduled for cleaning duties this weekend, so I could go to my boyfriend. Happy coincidence. I made a photo of the roster to send to a coworker since she forgot to check it and had already left for the day. On Saturday morning, I got a call from the supervisor, S.
Where are you?
What?
You're supposed to be here. You're scheduled to work.
No, my name wasn't on the roster yesterday.
Well, I put it on there yesterday evening. You're supposed to check it before you leave.
I had the morning shift. How can I check the roster in the evening?
You should ask a coworker to check it for you. Now get over here.
I'm 2 hours away and you called me out of bed.
I don't care how long it takes. You're scheduled for today, so you're working today.
Fine, I'll be there ASAP. I loved the pay. Saturday was overtime, so extra pay. So I got dressed, took a shower, and hopped on the train. From the train station to the factory is another half hour, so I got there about 3 hours after cleaning duties were supposed to begin, and everyone had to stay 3 hours longer than usual, double overtime.
The cleaning crew didn't mind since they got paid extra too. The other coworker wasn't too thrilled, understandably, but he knew how unreasonable the supervisor could be. As for the supervisor herself, when I arrived, "Finally, what took you so long?" Like I said on the phone, I wasn't exactly close. "Next time, just check the damn roster." I did. I even have a photo of the roster on Friday at 1 p.m. I pull out my phone, and as you can see, I was not on it. Don't try to blame me for this. I was pretty pissed at her behavior at this point. "We'll see how the boss thinks about your work ethics." I'll show him the photo. According to my contract, my roster is supposed to be communicated to me 2 weeks beforehand. That shut her up for the day. We all got paid heavily. The cleaning crew got paid to sit around to drink coffee for 3 hours, and the next morning I found out what happened with the roster on Friday. Apparently, another coworker had told the supervisor that she wouldn't be able to work for a week, the week of the incident, due to surgery on her arm. She had told her a month before. S, being not so bright, thought the coworker could just come in on Saturday since it was only to watch if the cleaning crew are doing everything correctly and not stealing anything. The coworker, upon seeing her name on the roster, clarified in no uncertain terms that she would not be working due to potentially very heavy pain. This shouldn't be a problem, since there were about 10 people who could work in her stead. But no, S decided, instead of asking for a volunteer, she would wait until the day before and just write a name on the roster and hope they had no plans and notice their name on the roster. There were no consequences for S this time, but the cleaning crew had a great laugh and a nice paycheck, and so did I.
Alright everybody, that's it for today's video. I hope that you liked it. Last question of the day was, what was your favorite color? And I had a lot of different answers. We have some blue, black, if that's even a color. I almost wear black for every single outfit, so I relate. But my favorite color in the world is teal and gold. So I love it when they're together. They don't have the same effect without one another, you know what I mean? And today's question of the day is, where is your favorite place that you've ever visited? I will let you know my answer tomorrow. If you liked today's video, I would love for you to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you're notified when I upload. I also post whenever I upload a video on Twitter. If you want to follow me, my screen name will be linked in the description. And I will see you in tomorrow's video. Bye!